it's the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, these guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
1, 2, 3, move it.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Join Hans and Scotty coming up on Thursday at RGS Exteriors from noon to 3. 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Speaking of Mr. Scotty G, jumping in. What's going on, Scotty?
Hey, fired up to be here. I was telling Christian when he said read that RGS, I'm like, I hope that's not today.
It better not be today. No, that's
different one.
That's Jake's move.
Yeah.
That's Jake's move, showing up to the wrong place or not showing up at all. Anyways.
Hi, Jake.
Hopefully he's doing well on vacation.
Is this the North Carolina week?
Yes, Outer Banks.
It is? Nice.
Yep. Back to his roots.
Yeah.
So,
Every year at this time he does that.
He drew some extra responsibility getting grandma back home.
Oh, really?
I think she's in her 90s.
Oh.
So they got to make sure she gets back and settled in, which is where she lives. So they go and visit her.
Oh, okay.
And then I think he's got to stay a couple extra days next week to make sure she gets set up.
Oh, okay.
Mow the
Well, good
lawn,
for him.
Those types of things.
Good grandson.
But happy to have you in here. Hey, what were your takeaways as somebody who's pretty intimately familiar with Utah State about the house settlement? We talked a little bit yesterday with a guy from CBS Sports, getting a breakdown on, he thinks it's a real clear delineation from the P5 and the G5 now.
Yeah.
Utah State is towing that line, and the Pac-12 stuff is exciting. Did it feel like a step back, or do you think people over at Utah State felt like it was a step back over the weekend?
I don't think they've been prepared for it for a long time. It's going to just further what we're all expecting. And I think right now everybody up there, and I guess I shouldn't speak for them, but it feels like everybody's kind of in the acceptance stage. Like we all knew that this this is a path we've been heading towards for a long time. And so because of that, people are prepared to provide as much money as they possibly can, fundraise, but they'll never get to that 20 million number. Sure. And there is an element of walking a line of let's be aggressive and let's try to do everything we can, but also appreciate who you are and know your lane and walk that lane as well. So there's a lot of schools out there that think they're bigger than they are, and now they're saddled with crippling debt. I mean, there's some Mountain West schools that overreached big time.
Washington State and Cal
are
still trying to figure it out with money.
And Colorado State built a brand beautiful new stadium, and they have no way to pay for it. Yeah. And nobody shows up. San Diego State may end up being in that same kind of range as well. Like, I don't think San Diego State's ever going to the Big 12. I don't think Colorado State's ever going to the Big 10. But they had these grand aspirations. But yet you also still want to show your fan base that you're aggressive and you're working towards things. Utah State, their NIL is so far significantly ahead of where they were a year ago, and certainly where they were 2 years ago. And so they're on a path to try to be better, but they're never going to match what Utah and BYU can do. And part of them has to accept that. The thing that needs to be figured out, though, I don't care about the NIL. I don't care about the money, the playoffs or anything like that. We got to figure out the transfers. And,
yeah, absolutely.
And using schools as farm schools, that's the problem, no pun intended, with Utah State. But that's the thing that I think has to be resolved in some way, shape, or form. When a kid signs a name on the dotted line, you can transfer, but there has to be some level of ramification. Whether you sit out, I was fine with the whole sit out a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
If the school's not right for you and you want to go somewhere else and somebody's saying we're going to give you a ton of money to go somewhere else, then okay, yeah. But guess what? You know what? You sign your name on a car loan and you don't make your payments, there's going to be ramifications.
The problem was everything fell apart at once, right?
It was all at one time.
It was, okay, well, now there's no penalties, even the wrong word for transferring. You're still going to school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're still getting the school paid for.
So for that to fall apart where there was no penalty or no, you didn't have to sit out a year. So there were no restrictions. And then NIL opened up. It all fell apart so quickly. And the NCAA seemed okay to sit on the sidelines and just say, like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, we can't do anything.
We can't do anything, so we're not going to try to do anything.
And when you do try to do something, somebody sues and you lose badly and you lose the PR battle. And so you're like, okay, well, we're not going to try anymore.
Then it felt like it was impossible to put some of that toothpaste back in the tube. And I actually do think getting some sense of regulation of how much the schools can pay and the schools can be involved is going to help.
Yeah.
I do wonder if you're going to have some G5, and look, even P5 teams that are going to treat it the same way we were just talking with Tim Lacombe about the Indiana Pacers, who are like, they never pay the luxury tax, ever. The Jazz never paid the luxury tax when it was Larry H. Miller. But they said if we were competing for a title, we'll go up to that level. I wonder if you'll get some schools that say that, like, hey, we can't pay $20 million every year. But the right year, we'll pay the 20. And it's going to cost us a lot. It's hard. We don't have it. But we'll pay it for the right year. And then we'll drop back down to $4 or $5 million the next year if we have to. I kind of suspect there will be some sliding schools, even with teams like, Vanderbilt's always going to pay $20 million because they're in the SEC. They have the money. But even some of these smaller schools that, Houston, if they say like, hey, the right year for football, certainly basketball, maybe one year Houston will just be like, yeah, we have an $18 million basketball roster. But we think we're going to win a title. And that, honestly, that may be this year because they're so good and made the championship game last year. I wonder if we'll see teams approach it that way.
And, I look at a team like Iowa State, who some years can have a really good football team, and then some years have a really good basketball team. So I think it's got to be a floating percentage. I don't think it's like, hey, football's getting 80 or 75, basketball's getting 20, and everybody else gets 5%. It's like all of a sudden you've got a basketball team. It's like, hey, sorry, football, you're not carrying your weight. Basketball is going to get 40% this year because we think they can make a run and they're going to take some of that money from you. So things along those lines. Texas Tech's paying a women's softball player $1 million.
Yeah, right.
And guess what? She earned it.
She's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, they took him to the national championship game.
This is so interesting because like, who's going to be the first $15 million player?
Oh yeah,
because there's $20 million you could spend. Who's going to be the team that says like, the hell with everything else, with everyone else on our roster and every other sport?
We're giving it all to him.
Arch Manning is transferring to our school for we're paying him $1 million a game. I'm like, someone's going to do it. You look at what happened with Rutgers and Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, and they spent all of their NIL money, which was completely unregulated, but they spent it all on those two guys, and the rest of their roster was terrible.
Yeah.
BYU is different. Yes, A.J. DuBonce is getting a bag, but they're paying a lot of guys. Like, Richie Saunders was not cheap, I'm sure, to get back to BYU. And Wright transferring over from Baylor, I'm sure, cost a fortune. But now if you're judging, like, we've got $20 million, it's so fascinating because the NBA, you've got a max contract. You can only pay one guy up to, 35% of the salary? Like, you could pay one player 100% of your $20 million.
Yeah, everybody else figure it out.
And bring him over.
Yeah.
The Saints traded everything for Ricky Williams.
Ricky Williams,
like, who's going to be the Ricky Williams of college sports who just is like, and then the crazy thing is, Scotty, like, in college basketball, there might be one guy who's worth it. Like, when we get the next Shaq or Tim Duncan, we haven't seen the guy in a while. Cooper Flag was pretty damn close. We haven't really seen the guy in a while. Who's like the one guy who's going to just get everything because they think he's worth it and might get you to a championship? It'll be interesting if some team goes that way and just says every year we're going to be wonky and wacky, but we're going to get the best player every single season.
Yeah, go back to that Syracuse team when Carmelo Anthony took him to a championship. Carmelo would have been worth every penny of that.
If LeBron went to high school, he would have been worth every single penny.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious if some team says we're going to be weird, we're going to be goofy, and we're going to take a different approach, and we think one player, having the right player, is more worth it, or at least the attention you draw from it.
Yeah. And as they should, too. Like, you've got to be I was talking to a coach yesterday, and he was just amazed by how many six-figure jobs have come out of this. He goes, we went into this saying we have no money to pay players. Well, not only do we have money to pay players, but now we have, $200,000, $300,000 to hire guys to come in and manage the whole thing.
You're our general manager.
Yeah. I mean, I saw Oklahoma send out a tweet today. They've got their general manager. They have the assistant general manager. They have an NIL. There's like 6 dudes, and I guarantee all of them, the lowest paid dude, I guarantee, is probably 130, 140. Highest dude's probably minimum, 500, 600. And, okay, so not only do you have money to pay the players, but you have the money to help manage it as well.
I've also wondered if someone's just going to say, you know what, we're a women's basketball school. And again, the problem is it's generally not going to generate the revenue, but I would imagine you look back at what Caitlin Clark did in college and how much money she brought in and the attention she brought. Like, there might be schools who just say, hey, we're going to change our identity, or we're going to lean fully into this identity of the Olympic sport or the non-revenue sport or the women's basketball or whatever it is, and says, so we're going to begin. We think we can win that way.
Well, there's teams in the Mountain West Conference, not necessarily women's basketball, but like I look at UNLV and New Mexico, too, in particular, they've said, hey, where can we divvy up our money between 15 guys or 85 guys? And they've gone all in on basketball. And they're paying in an NIL almost 2 to 3 times for a basketball team what they're paying for their football team. And they're like, we feel like we can make a bigger statement on a national scene and be more relevant nationally if we use our money towards men's basketball as opposed to football. So they're, and guess what? They're not wrong when you have limited resources available to you.
Yeah. I mean, Gonzaga's made that bet for a long time.
Yeah.
UConn's made that bet for a long time. And if UConn, I know they're trying to get football off the ground. I don't think it's ever really going to catch hold.
Nope.
If they just want to go men's basketball and women's basketball and say they put 16 of their $20 million towards that, it's probably a smart bet for them. Is just as far as identity. We wouldn't if UConn was truly trying to be a football school, how often would we ever talk about UConn? Never. But everyone knows what UConn is because they are legendary on the women's side. They've been great on the men's side as well.
Yeah, that's it. And so find out who you are, what you want to be, and go all in on it.
We can talk about it coming up next. It's kind of the big talk today. Phil Steele has BYU outside of his top 50. And you know McKay Hillstead, and you've watched McKay Hillstead. How well can he replace Jake Gretzloff if that ends up being the case? Let's talk about that coming up next. Stick around. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, bro. You hear us every day with our crazy opinions.
Hey, what you doing?
Well, now it's time to hear from you.
Hey, great show.
Download the KSL Sports app and fire off your thoughts with the call-in tab on the bottom of your screen.
Your show is fantastic. It's the one that captivates me the most.
You can tell PK to stop singing.
Cheap bangs.
Let Jake and Ben know what you really think of the Jazz. Tell Hans and Scotty about your favorite barbecue spot or what color of tie JJ should be wearing on TV. The best entries will be played on the air. Download the KSL Sports app now and hit the call-in button to let your voice be heard.
I think you guys do an incredible job.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.